So hello and welcome to Dommy Tries This. I hope you brought your cuppa. If this coffee mug, this look, everything looks familiar, it should. I just got done filming a mail opening. Thank you again, Jean, for all the beautiful gifts. I do intend to use that coffee mug very, very soon. And we are also still drinking our Seattle Spearmint Rose Tea, which I really enjoy. So I just kind of wanted to go ahead and finish up the cup before we get into today's video. So good. It's got a nice, light, delicate flavor, but you do get the mint, and it's really nice that the mint isn't overwhelming the rest of it. It's very mellow. I put in just the right amount of sugar, so it's got sweetness without being overly sweet. It's a very beautiful tea. I'm going to finish that up today. A lot of times when I do multiple filmings, I don't get to finish up my teas, sadly. Anyway, so today we are doing an update on one of the indie brands that I picked up recently. This would be from Saira Beauty, as I opened it here on the channel, and I received two different palettes. This is the Springtime Fine one. As you recall, the mirror was broken, so I've left the plastic over the mirror. The mirrors in the other two palettes are fine, and they're decent mirrors, so that this broke was, I believe, was a fluke. So that's the Springtime Fine. And then I picked up also the Blue Envy, which is this one. And I picked up her Illumination palette, which is this one. Comes with also with its own mirror. And finally, to get to round everything out, I did pick up one of her matte liquid lipsticks. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about these. I'm going to talk about the palettes first. The Springtime Fine takes some building on me, but it's not bad. It's not one I'm going to keep. This is either going to go to my daughter or to Project Beauty Share. Just because the color tones actually don't work for my skin. So for me, this one takes a lot of building up to get it to work well. It has the same problem for me as the Blue Envy too, in that a lot of the shades tend to seal up. This is that top row. So as you can see, that for me, this particular palette just isn't necessarily suitable. There's maybe a couple shades in here total that will work on my skin tone. That's one of them. The ones that do work just fine, like I said. It's just the colors just don't really work for me very well because of the skin tone issue. I honestly wish I could get away with these kind of colors without them fading into my skin. It did work fairly well when I needed a lighter pink or something to work with another palette, but I have most of these colors. I picked up this package because it was a really good deal and would give me enough to work with to play around with for Saira Beauty. But like, as you can see, just in general, these colors just don't really work for me. I do like the packaging. They do have a very firm magnet, and the packaging does pretty much hold its own for the most part. I do wish that she had somewhere on these palettes what they were. Since I'm not keeping the Springtime Fine for sure, it'll not be so hard to figure out which is which, but yeah, it's kind of problematic when you don't have the name of the palette anywhere on the palette. So that would be one criticism about this particular packaging. I'm sure she's got larger palettes, and she's got some other palettes as well. So I'm sure those have the names on them. Her lipstick has the color listed on the bottom. So I'm sure the other palettes that she has do have a name on them. These just didn't, and that's made it kind of difficult sometimes to figure out what I was using. But anyway, so this one, it's a nice palette, okay palette. It's just the colors just didn't work for me. So I wasn't able to use it that much, and so this one, all I can say is it's an okay palette. I really can't really say much more about it because I didn't use it that much. I mean, if it disappears on your face, you're not going to use it that much. The Blue Envy. I actually like this color scheme. She has some blues, some greens. I do think that the black and this sort of grayish color were kind of an overkill. I think one of these could have been pulled out. However, I did use them both as eyeliners at certain points, and they did work for that. The colors themselves generally work for me very well. Springtime fine colors do take a little effort for me to get off my arm with the damp wipe, which is actually a good sign. It shows that they actually have some staying power. But for these, I think the biggest issue I really had is that these pans tend to seal up. The colors themselves show up very well on me. Drying off my arm. They do perform better over eye primer, so that's good. I missed one. Zootolo, I missed one. I do love the colors in here. So as you can see, for the most part, all but one of them actually really works on my skin. They do show up. They do, the shimmers have a good shimmer on them. But like I said, my biggest issue with them is that they tend to seal up, and I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see it. But this one is starting to, right in there, is starting to seal up. My lights are just kind of, but you can see it's getting hard on the surface. The one next to it has a little bit starting. That's easy to fix. You just take a piece of tape, put it down, pick it up, and it should pick up the sealed up part. They do work as eyeliner very well. They do have the pigmentation and enough quality. I mean, they're not, some eyeshadows end up being, even if they're very dark in the pan, if you try to use them as an eyeliner, they come out too light, or the formula is so flaky and dry that you have to get it really, really wet, and at which point it becomes pointless to use them. These don't have any of those issues for the most part. This is a really nice, gets a really nice sheen to it that I can use if I don't want to go full on black. This is a really nice black to use as an eyeliner by itself. All of these colors are very pretty. Like the other one, it has a good closure. And the color scheme is beautiful. This palette for me, I'm going to be keeping it. I do think that they're fairly worth the price. I'm going to have to remember. I believe I got both of these for $25, but I'm not sure what they are singly. So I will list that down below. I think they're good for about a $15 to $20 palette. So I find her quality of the shadows, like I said, they're really good. They're, I would say they're above most drugstore brand. They seem to have consistent use. Like NYX can have, their palettes can be very inconsistent. You can get one that's really good, and then the next one it's like, what the hell is this? Same for a couple of other brands. CoverGirl has some that are really good, and then you'll get another one that you're like, this just doesn't even work, even though the colors are very similar. She doesn't have those inconsistency issues. They're very consistent. Like I said, this one just had issues with the shades blending into my skin tone, and that's not her fault. That's not the palette's fault. I do not find them to be, say, the equivalent of Violet Voss or a couple of other indie brands I've tried, but she is a very good indie brand. I'm not saying she's a bad indie brand. She's in the middle of the pack somewhere, and I think they're fairly affordable for an indie brand, and for the amount of product you get, I think they're fairly good for that. I do enjoy this particular palette, and like I said, I will be keeping it and continuing to use it. And I will note that in this one, there really is only one matte, and that's the black. So I don't know if I saw that in the other. And this one has no mattes. So with both of these palettes, if you really want mattes, these would not be an answer for you. I'm sure she has some mattes that you can go ahead and get. So I can't say for the quality of the mattes how well they are because I didn't get any. The Illumination palette. My biggest complaint at this point is the packaging and the way, I don't know if you guys can see, but the way the paper labeling just puckered up around it. It's like the others. It's got a fairly, actually, its closure is a little weaker than the others. So I was going to say it's about the same, but it's actually a little weaker. I do love the color variety, although this gold, this sunset color, actually is a little too gold for me. The problem with me using stuff that's too yellow in a place where it's going to be really prominent, that's not going to be framed by other colors. Like I can put yellow on my eyes and not have this issue, but if I put yellow like for a highlighter and I don't have any way to, it's too yellow, my face starts to look a little sallow. I start getting that issue that a lot of us olive skin girls get. These are really nice. They do apply well. I actually haven't been unhappy with any of the application at all, and this one is very close to a ColourPop one that I like. But here they are applied with my finger. You can see they got a beautiful sheen to them. These, yes, are a little lighter, but they work really well if you're not looking for to the moons kind of glow. I'm going to apply my favorite one here, Angel Food, with a fan brush. You can see it gives a really nice sheen, and then I have a different type of highlighter brush I can do that with. And we'll go a little lower. And as you can see, it gets you another. So you can build them up, you can apply them with different things to get a different effect on them. I haven't tried to go really super bright, so, but I don't know. I think you probably could if you really worked on it, but not a look that I go for anyway. Like I said, my biggest complaint really has been the way this packaging has all puckered up, and then also, like I said, this does not have the same kind of closure. But overall, it's a really good highlighter palette, and not really that disappointed otherwise. I just think the packaging needed a little bit of work on it, that's all. Now, wish I could be as positive on the liquid lipstick. This is in the color Havana, and it's smooth and creamy, and it does dry down matte, and the color is beautiful. However, all that said, I had to sort of push myself to use it, even though it's a color I would love to use. She applies kind of patchy, and you have to put on extra layers, and the good news is she dries down kind of slow, and she does mix well. I've used her over some other lipstick today, so she's over some other stuff today, but it's the patchiness, so you have to really kind of pay attention to that, and yeah, kind of work with it a bit to get rid of the patchiness that she has. But the color is beautiful. The application is otherwise really nice. It's smooth and creamy and all of that. Just the patchiness was the biggest problem, and I'm glad it doesn't, like, there's some mattes that like almost insta dry, and you cannot use them for anything, and if they do not apply well, you can't even fix them because they dry so quickly. This does not do that, so she's great for mixing with other colors, and you can work with her so that you can get rid of that patchiness. It's just something to be aware of. I do love the packaging of this. It does feel a little loose, but since it's a twist, it isn't at all. I just think the packaging is gorgeous. I just wish the actual application was a little less patchy, that's all. I don't think I've used it much to let it to just dry down, but I'm not big on letting mattes get too matte. Most of them I tend to use over or under a lip gloss because I just can't stand the matte feel. This is mixed in and she's matte, but she's not uncomfortable on top of those other lipsticks that I've worn. I can't move my lips the way I like. It's very sticky. I shouldn't say very sticky, but because I put it over something else, it's harder to get it to, I can't do the slip with my lips like I'd like to do. It sounds so weird. But anyway, it's true. I like to be able to move my lips against each other if I need to for any reason. So even over something else, she does dry down to a point where you cannot do that. She would dry down further to be completely dry if I didn't have anything underneath her. So she also tends to stain a little bit, but that could be the color. I have had to remove it a couple of times to try out other lipsticks, and I do find myself that if this is the bottom color, I do find that there's often a bit of a berry stain. Doesn't bother me, might bother some people. Other than that, like I said, the patchiness is the only thing that really, really bothered me about it. And even then, it's usable, and I will keep it and continue to use it. Overall, for the brand, the brand is good. I'm going to say that. I can't give a 100% glowing report because of the small issues that we've had. The pigmentation isn't to the quality of, say, the Violet Voss. I've also received a couple of other indie brands that have a little bit better pigmentation, but overall the pigmentation is good enough, and the highlighter especially is beautiful. The issue with the sealing is a problem, but again, it's not anything major that I can't deal with. I actually do like the things that I've picked up from her, so well, with the exception of the one that it's not her fault, it's the colors. The colors just didn't work. Anyway, overall, a good brand. I think she's in a good place, and I do think that what I have used has worked very well, and I will continue to use the two palettes that I'm keeping and the lipstick. I've seen people do some amazing stuff with her palettes on her Instagram that she shared. One more thing I wanted to mention about the Blue Envy is that I also did experience quite a bit of fallout with that, but considering the colors are so dark, that's honestly, to me, that's not a surprise. A lot of brands have that issue, so we can't hold that against her, can we now? No. Just, if you're going to buy them, you should be aware that there will be fallout from those darker colors. Anyway, that's it for today, and I hope you like what you've seen. And if you do like what you've seen, I hope you will subscribe. If you do subscribe, please hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Currently upload 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. However, through summer and towards the end of fall, we do quite a few bonus videos, quite a few bonus garden videos. We have other videos that are bonus videos. We recently did a indie brand opening bonus video, and we have a Loot Crate bonus video we're waiting on. Waiting for that sucker to ship. Anyway, so we do have some other bonus videos in case you're interested in those. If you're part of my notification squad, you'll want to check your subscription and your bell to make sure they're both still active. And if you choose not to subscribe, well, we'd be sad and disappointed. But you're always welcome back here because we love having the company. And if you do come back again, don't forget to bring your cup of tea. Now, she ain't cold yet, but she's cooled off. So, we'll see how she does as a not hot, but not quite cold tea. Some teas, you know, they just don't. They just don't. But let's give it a taste. It's okay. I think this tea is a better as a warmer to hot tea, I think. Yeah. She's mellowing out a bit more. The flavor is fading just a touch, and there's a bit more bitterness on the back end of it. But other than that, she's a good tea, and I will go and heat her up in my microwave and finish her off today. Even though it is like, we've hit the humid part of the Georgia weather, so it feels hot even if it's not hot, although I think today is hot. Anyway, we're done. We're done. Going on. Moving on before I bore you all to tears with even more. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.